So, check this out, people. How many of you guys back home in the US are sitting back home, right? Are sitting at home in front of your televisions every day, watching Netflix each time you come home from work? And then you go to work in the morning, repeat the cycle, go back home, and do the same thing over and over and over again, to the point where you're just miserable, right? You don't know what to do with yourself. You don't know what to do with your life. You have no girl, no wife, no kids. You work, but you have all this time, right? And all this money, but you don't have anybody to spend that money with, right? And you don't know what to do with yourself because you got all the time in the world, but nothing to do. Because unfortunately, most Americans don't realize that there is a big world out here, right? And so what we do is we spend most of our time, most of our days working, hustling, not because we need the money, right? I mean, of course, we all work because we need money, right? There's no doubt about that. But I worked, even though I'm retired, I continued to work, not because I needed the money, but because I would rather work than to sit at home doing nothing. I would rather work because the days go by faster, right? One day doesn't feel like 3 days. 1 hour doesn't feel like 24 hours with you just sitting there and having your life pass you by with nothing to do. And so I decided to expand my horizons, right? And think about life outside of the US. Thanks to my brother who always said, listen, you gotta enjoy life. You gotta enjoy life. Life is good, right? Don't just waste your life away by sitting at home watching TV with nothing to do. If you're retired, if you have the means, the money, the income to expand your life, do something with it. Don't just work your life away if you don't have to. Listen, most Americans don't have to work their life away, right? Most Americans can work and go home and enjoy their life and their backyards, which most Americans don't even do, right? Because for those who live in the US or those who have traveled to the US, you notice that you see all of these houses with beautiful lawns. Beautiful. You can drive for miles and miles and you see houses for miles with beautiful backyards, beautiful swimming pools, and no one is swimming in those pools. Children aren't playing in the backyards. No one is sitting in the front yards. Nothing. You have these people who spend money on property, on land that they don't do nothing with. These big homes that nobody lives in. You got a 4-bedroom house with 3 bathrooms and 2 people living in them. Why? So you can say, hey, I got a 4-bedroom house with 3 bathrooms. It doesn't make any sense. We overspend, we overlive, and rather than exploring the world, we plant our roots, right? By buying a house. This is why I don't own property. This is why I don't own a home, because I don't want to ground myself. Life is good. It's a big world out here, and I wanted to explore it. And one of the things I always told myself, if I want to be free, that means I have to be debt-free, because freedom comes for everyone who isn't in debt. But if you're in debt, you're always going to be a slave. You're always going to be a slave because you're forced to work whether you want to work or not. If you own a home and you pay a mortgage, you have to work. You have no choice. If you're financing a car, you have to work. You have no choice. If you own a business, you have to work. You have no choice. I didn't want to ground myself. I'm an independent contractor, so I work for myself back home when I'm in the US, right? I refuse to work for anyone because I don't have to. I don't have to work. I'm retired. I retired at a young age. And so I decided to explore outside of the US. I don't want to live in a country with empty swimming pools where no one swims in, empty backyards where children don't play on, empty front yards where no one sits out, empty porches where no one has barbecues in, right, other than the 4th of July and Memorial Day, because it's all a facade. It's all fake. It's all an illusion, right? If you want to see what life is like, perfect example. I'm going to be quiet for just 5 seconds. I'm going to be quiet. I want you to hear this. You hear that? You hear the kids outside playing. You hear them laughing. These aren't just kids. These are grown 20, 30-year-old men and young girls playing basketball. This is every day. This is what it's like in this country, in the Philippines, where people actually have a life. Where people sing. It's like a freaking musical in this country. Everywhere you go, there's laughter. Everywhere you go, there's music. On the bus, on the train, in the malls. Everywhere you go, they're playing music. It seems like Americans are so freaking uptight that they don't know what to do with their life. They're so miserable. And each time I go back home to the US, I become depressed. And when I leave the US and I come to a country like the Philippines, where the air is light and my mind is at ease, I don't want to go back home to the US. This is where I'd rather die. This is where I want to live, and this is where I want to die. I want to be in a place where when I stop for a minute to close my eyes, I hear children playing. I hear people laughing. People are conversating. People are singing. People are sitting outside in front of their porches. They're talking. They're playing cards. They're drinking. They're celebrating. This is an all-day, everyday thing, right? Now, other than the dogs barking and the cats screeching and the roosters, that's something that you got to get used to in this country. Now, I'm Puerto Rican. I was born in Puerto Rico and raised in that environment. So for me, getting used to that wasn't that hard, right? Every now and then I want peace. Every now and then, actually not every now and then, a lot of times, I don't want to hear a dog barking at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning or a cat screeching. I don't want to hear that. Those are things that you have to get used to in this country. But if I have to choose between the cats, dogs, and roosters, and the kids outside playing ball, playing basketball, roller skating, skateboarding, riding their bicycles, and people celebrating, to the misery back home in the US with the empty houses, or the houses with 2 or 3 people living in a 4-bedroom house where no one sits out on their porch and no one swims in their swimming pools, this is what I choose. I'd rather choose the hustle and bustle and the noise that's happening in this country, because I know people are alive. I know people are living. I know people are happy. And unfortunately, back home in the US, people are miserable. And so my advice to you people back home in the US, especially to those who are sitting at home, promoting these stocks like AMC and GME from their basements, from their mother's houses, from their wives' garages, right? Claiming that they are millionaires or about to be millionaires for the past 5, 6 years on this nonsense. Who would you rather listen to? Who would you rather take advice from? Someone like that, like Mikey's Money, like Thomas James, like Morant's Rants, like these scumbags who keep telling you that you're going to become rich, or you're going to take the advice of someone who is actually living their life, traveling the world, seeing what the world has to offer from a different hotel every single weekend. Because if I'm going to listen to someone, I'm going to listen to the person who's actually living and experiencing life, not sitting at home in their wife's garage, their mom's basement, talking about how GME and AMC is going to the moon and how Roaring Kitty is going to make you rich and all this bullshit and all this nonsense. while they're living a miserable life just like everybody else, claiming that they're making it, when we all know that that's not how the market works. The majority of those who bought into AMC and GME are broke. And so my advice to you people, get a life. Shut that nonsense down already. Go somewhere, do something, get a passport, see what the world has to offer, and then you will see what true freedom is and what true riches are. So, thanks for watching, people. Grow up, get a life, and stop listening to these idiots on YouTube. They're causing you to lose money. Take that money before you lose it and spend it. Spend it on yourself. Spend it on seeing what the world has to offer. Spend it by traveling to another country, seeing the cultures, experiencing the foods, the people, and then you're going to see what being rich really means. Get your money, people, and do something with it.